This power station is the upgraded version of this, but it's the same size as this with twice the power. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Remember when I put a picture on the community tab here and I asked you guys what you thought it was? It was two power stations. It was this one and the BLUETTI Elite 30 V2, which I reviewed up here. And I also did a review for the Elite 100 V2 up here. So if you want to check out the Elite 30 and the Elite 100, they're both up there. So due to how well the Elite 100 V2 video did, they've sent out the Elite 200 V2 and I'm buzzing to show you this. So what I'm going to say is the new BLUETTI Elite line is kind of confusing because the upgraded versions of these power stations look like other power stations, but they're the upgraded versions of others. And the reason being is the Elite 200 V2 is the upgraded version of the AC200L, which is here. But as you're going to see, this power station is identical to the AC180. But I know what you're thinking, if this is identical to the AC180, why would you not call this the upgrade to the AC180? But I think the way that they're doing it is, it's based on power and not necessarily the looks of another power station, because the AC200L is a 2 kilowatt hour power station. The AC180 is a 1000 kilowatt hour power station, and this is a 2 kilowatt hour power station, so it makes more sense to say that this is the upgraded version of the AC200L because that one's got the 2 kilowatt hour capacity. So I just wanted to cover that before we get it open, so let's get into it. If you've seen all the other power station unboxings, you know BLUETTI do it pretty simple. So up the top we have a box with accessories and the usual manual and obviously your warranty. So let's see what we get with the Elite 200 V2. The XT60 solar cable, and we get the AC power cord. That's pretty much it. So what I've noticed as well is there's no 12 volt charger for the car, but I'll tell you all the ways you can charge it in a bit. I love the fact that it isn't styrofoam as well. It's nice and it's like a foam kind of thing. The big reveal. What size is that? That is literally the size of my AC180, but this is a 2 kilowatt hour battery. So as I said, this is aimed at being an upgrade for the AC200L, but as you can see, it more closely resembles the AC180 and the AC180P. This is the size difference from the Elite 200 V2 side by side with the AC200L. So the main differences are the AC200L has a capacity of 2048 watt hours, 2400 watt base power output with a power lift up to 3600 watts. The Elite 200 V2 has a capacity of 2073 watt hours, 2600 watt base power, and it power lifts up to 3900 watts. And it's 40% smaller, but let me show you this. So as you all know, this is my AC180P. This is the heart of my van. This is what I use daily. This is what I use for my diesel heater, my lights, my fridge, basically everything. So see if you notice any difference. Now, just for transparency, this is the AC180P version, so this has got 1440 watt hours in it. So to keep this fair, with a wee bit of editing, I'm going to make it the AC180. And the reason why I'm changing this one is because I just want to make it the base AC180, because I know a lot of people got confused and they were saying, oh, that's the AC180P and blah, blah, blah. So that's why it looks like that. But as you can see, the Elite 200 V2 is literally just the same as the AC180. It's almost double the power. The dimensions of the unit is 35 centimeters length, 25 centimeters width, and a height of 32.3 centimeters. The AC200L weighs in round about 28.4 kilograms. The Elite 200 V2 also weighs in round about the 28 kilograms, and the AC180 is only round about 16 kilograms. Plus, you've also got the same carry handles at the top as well. So let's talk about the ports. For features wise and layout wise, I'm going to keep it as close to the AC180 because it most resembles that. The Elite 200 V2 has a battery capacity of 2073.6 watt hours, whereas the AC180 has 1152 watt hours. The base power output of the AC180 is 1800 watts, and with power lifting it goes up to 2700 watts. The Elite 200 V2, the base power output is 2600 and its power lifting is 3900 watts. All that power is now in the same form factor as that AC180, and it doesn't just stop there. The AC180 is good for 3,000 life charges before it gets to 80%. The Elite 200 V2 has 6,000 charge life cycles. So on the right you've got your AC output that puts out 2,600 watts. On the AC180 it's only 1,800 watts. On the DC output you've got two USB-C 100 watt ports and two USB-A 15 watt ports, whereas on the AC180 you've only got one USB-C 100 port and four USB-A ports. And then on the left you've got your DC output, which is rated at 12 volt 10 amps, which is pretty much the same on the AC180P as well. However, this is where the big difference comes. The DC input, not only is it XT60 over the barrel design, on the AC180 it's rated at 10 amps, whereas this is rated at 20 amps for 1,000 watts. So I quite like the fact they've given us two USB-C 100 watt ports rather than more USB-A ports. Even though it's only a couple of centimetres bigger, we do have a bigger LCD screen over the AC180. One of the quality of life features I've noticed on the Elite 200 versus the AC180 and the Elite 100 and the Elite 30 V2s is the buttons feel nice and premium. They're like a rubber texture. So let's see the difference on the LCD screens. So you can see straight away the LCD screen on the Elite V2 is just much more bigger, and it's a lot more sharper and vibrant than the AC180. And on the Elite 200 V2 you've got the DC input, DC output, along with the AC input and the AC output. Both of them show the percentage and how many hours is left. If you notice up here, we've got the Wi-Fi signal. That's because the BLUETTI Elite 200 V2 has got Wi-Fi as well as Bluetooth, whereas the AC180 only has Bluetooth. Now when it comes to charging, the Elite 200 V2 can fast charge to 80% in 1.1 hours and can fully charge in 1.4 hours, which is still impressive given that the AC180 is 45 minutes to 80%, and this has got double the battery. And for charging it, you can use the wall charger, you can charge it with your car, you can charge it with a generator. Both of them you can charge with the BLUETTI Charger 1 app, which I highly recommend. And with that DC input at 1,000 watts, you can solar charge the Elite 200 V2 with a 1,000 watt solar panel, whereas the AC180 only accepts 500 watts. However, both of them can dual charge, so you can plug it into the wall and charge it with solar at the same time just to charge them faster. And for UPS times, uninterrupted power source, AC180 is 20 milliseconds, whereas the Elite 200 V2 is 15 milliseconds. And just for comparison as well on how loud these two are, the AC180 is 45 decibels, whereas the Elite 200 V2 is only 16 decibels. So double the power, same size, but a lot more quieter. And both of them as well can be operated from the smart app. I don't have the AC200L, which this is supposed to be the upgraded version of, so I can only go by the one that I've got, which is the AC180P. And again, for review purposes, I've changed it to the AC180. So I feel it's better to do the review based on the AC180 because, I mean, look at them. They just basically look identical. So on the right hand side of the unit, you've got your grounding point, you've got the AC input for wall charging, and you've got your 20 amp circuit protector. On the other side, as you can see, it's just a ventilation fan and nothing on the back, just some information. So one thing I've noticed that the Elite 200 V2 doesn't have is wireless charging on the top of it. But if you've seen all my other power station videos, you'll know I'm not really a fan of wireless charging. So the fact that we've got two USB-C 100 watt ports, to me that more makes up for the wireless charging. So the first test we're going to do is the air fryer. So this is a 1700 watt air fryer. I think it's a 6 litre one. We're going to be making some cheese and ham bagels. So I did do a test on a different power station with the air fryer, and the way that it worked out was 1 minute equaled 1%. So it would be nice to see if the BLUETTI acts the same way, just so it's easy to measure out how many minutes a meal's going to make and if we've got enough percentage to do it. So what we'll do is we'll stick the bagels in first and let them toast up a bit. So let's turn the BLUETTI on, and we're just going straight into the AC. I'm aware that I could go for a smaller air fryer just to use less power, but I like the fact that you can fit quite a lot of things in this, so it makes it easier for cooking. 180, and we'll do it for 2 minutes. So we're straight up at 1,650. I have used air fryers before in the house and stuff like that, but obviously I've never had it plugged into a power source with readings for wattage. It took me until now to realise that an air fryer is just like a condenser fridge. It doesn't use all the power all the time. It only uses it once it gets to a certain temperature, then it'll back off and it'll run the fan for a while, and then it'll use power, so it isn't constantly drawing 1,700 watts. So we'll go ham first. Ham on top. Like that. We'll just put it in for the same amount of time. These should be done. It took roughly 6 or 7 minutes to cook that, and we're at 93%. So this is working out like the other 2 kilowatt hour power station, where it's going to be 1% each is 1 minute. So that's a nice way to manage your power. So I'm going to get tucked into this and then we'll move on to the next one. So let's test out something else that's tasty. Gaming. We've got the power, let's use it. So with the Elite 100 V2, we saw that roughly the PlayStation sits about 92 watts at the home screen, and that just now is saying we've got 23.9 hours. So let's see how many hours we'll get gaming with Cyberpunk. On the Elite 100 V2, we were getting roughly about 3 hours at roughly 230 watts. This is how much time we'll get on the Elite 200 V2. We're getting close to 8 hours, 7.6 hours. So we can basically play Cyberpunk for close to 8 hours. How cool is that? And this is just a USB-C monitor that's plugged into the PlayStation by USB and HDMI. So basically the PlayStation is powering the monitor and it's only taking 230 watts. But I'm going to be honest, the sound from that monitor isn't the best. It sounds a bit tinny, but I think we can fix it. So much better. Come on, we're going to need to see how much Grand Theft Auto 5 takes. Let's see how many watts we're taking just now. So we're only taking 192 watts. I think that's roughly what it was on the Elite 100 V2 as well. So if Grand Theft Auto 5 is your game and you play online, you're going to get roughly 9.2 hours and it's at 89%. So at 100% you'd probably get around about 10 hours. So let's test my all-time favourite game, Division 1. Obviously I would have it set up a wee bit different. I would have the power station where the AC 180p is, and you know, there'd be less wires. I hate that PlayStation hasn't given it a 60 FPS upgrade yet, whereas Xbox has. So we're at only at 144. So on this game I could sit and play this at 88% for 12 hours. If you're a gamer and all you want to do is game in the back of your van and Division's your game, you're going to be set for 12 hours. Possibly even 14 if it was at 100%. Now, if you're a gamer that likes side-scrollers, then check this out. I love the Turtles and I've got the Cowabunga collection. So on a wee side-scroller like this, we'll get 122 watts at 14.6 hours, so close to 15 hours on this one. And if you're games racing, you're going to get roughly 180 watts at 9.2 hours. But if we're really going to check gaming, we can't leave out the Switch 2 either, so let's check that. Let's plug the speakers in. We'll stick it in to the DC because it does need charged a bit. So the Switch 2 battery's at 84%. DC output is only giving out 15 watts. And I think from my testing the last time, the Switch only takes roughly 15 to 30 watts to fully charge it. And again, it's not even making a dent on the power station. It's saying 99.9 hours. So if the Switch 2 is your console, you're going to be set for weeks gaming with this thing. But then none of this matters unless we test the setup in which I built Dolby 4, which is my mobile music studio, so have a look. So as you see, it's a pretty crude setup. Again, the power station wouldn't be up there, it would be under the desk. With a laptop going, we've got the speakers again, they're not on the stands are over there. You've got the interface, we've got the keyboard, we've got the mic, all this running, and the speakers. It's only taking 24 watts, so technically we could be working 42.2 hours. So let's put a bit of current through it and see if it changes. This is just a track I've been working on from EP. So it's barely even moving. So with this setup, you're roughly 2 days of working. And if the weather's nice outside, you can just chuck the solar panel out and that's just going to feed that while I'm working. So the BLUETTI Elite 200 V2 is covering you for gaming, for the PS5, for the Switch 2, covering you for music studio duties, and it's covering me for doing it in a 1700 watt air fryer. But I know there's something missing that I haven't tested, and even though I've tested it on the BLUETTI Elite 100 V2, I also tested it on the Elite 30 V2, so I think it's only right that we try and see if we get it working with the Elite 200 V2, which is the 4 kilowatt hour diesel heater. Now, bearing in mind the AC 180p powers at no bother, and if the lower Elite 30 V2 can power it, is there any point testing it? I don't know, but let's check. So first thing we need to do is we need to put this under to where the 12 volt socket is. So as you see, it just fits in there the same as the AC 180p, and we still have loads of room. So I've got the BLUETTI Charger 1 set up for the XT60, which basically goes in the top of there. Let's get the diesel heater checked. So we're currently at 85% and everything's plugged in, so let's go. As I've shown, the BLUETTI Elite 100 V2 ran it, and even the tiny Elite 30 V2 ran it, so I don't think this is going to struggle. It seems silly not to test it, so let's go. We're up and running, ready to go. So as usual, we'll turn it on, make sure it's running, and then we'll check the wattage. The main focus of this test isn't so much as powering it, it's cooling it down. So we are on. So as you can see, the wattage is on the left hand side and it's at 58 watts. So it's running fine. Just waiting for the ticks to start. So that's the ticking starting, that means the fuel's going to the pump. So we're at 107 now. And then once it gets to temperature, it starts dropping down. So you can see it's dropping down right now. Let it run for a wee bit. So we're floating about 8 or 10, and that's roughly what the BLUETTI E30 V2 was giving us as well. I always get nervous when I go to turn it off because a lot of the other power stations of another name brand didn't cool it down. Let's see if the BLUETTI Elite 200 V2 will run and cool my diesel heater. We are off. So we have clear up there and go straight to the power station. If there's any problems, it'll throw up a fault code and it'll basically just cut the power. So we should see it rise to roughly about 120, 130. The Elite 30 V2 maxed out at 130. Again, I don't have any worries or concerns with this because this is the flagship model. So we're creeping up now, 120. Oh well, so it's only peaked at 120 and it's still cooling down. And we're now at 10 watts on the cool down. And that's it now finished. 10 minutes we ran it for, no fault codes. No fault codes. So there you have it, the BLUETTI Elite 200 V2 runs my 4 kilowatt hour diesel heater, but also cools it down as well. And that's the entire new Elite series from BLUETTI that runs a 4 kilowatt hour diesel heater. If you were in any doubt about which power station to get, if your main priority is to run a diesel heater, BLUETTI. I've never had any BLUETTI that hasn't been able to run my diesel heater and cool it down, so there you go. So as you can see, I've got it plugged into some solar panels just now, and we're currently getting 223 watts, so it'll be charged in 1.6 hours with the same conditions. This accepts up to 1000 watts and the solar panel's 300 watts, so pretty good. So let's talk about the Smart app. On the Smart app, you go to devices and you can see I've already set it up, but if you didn't, you go to the plus sign and then add device. Let's click Elite 200 V2. And again, it's just the same as the Elite 30 and the Elite 100 V2s. So in the middle, you've got your percentage. And as you can see up the top in PV, we're bringing in 221 watts of solar. And because we're running the lights, we're taking 8 watts. So we've not got anything plugged into the AC, so you can actually remotely control it. And then that just turns off the AC, and you can do the same with the DC as well. You can also turn off the device from this as well, but you can't turn it back on from the app. Estimated charging time from the solar, we've got 1 hour and 42 minutes, and then you've got some energy saving statistics and stuff. Up the top you've got your settings, where you can basically rename it. You've got some guides just in case you lose your manual. You've got your default connection mode. So as I said, this has got Wi-Fi and it's got Bluetooth. So just now it's set to the cloud, which is the Wi-Fi. So I'm going to change that to Bluetooth because I'm not always going to have Wi-Fi. Working mode, standard UPS. So the UPS is just the uninterrupted power source. And then you've got charging modes. So basically this will relate to how fast the device charges from a wall. So you've got standard, silent and turbo. So obviously silent means the fans won't kick on, but it will take the longest to charge it. Whereas turbo will be that 1.7 or 1.6 hours fast charging, but the fans will kick on and it will be a bit noisy. In here you've got eco. So if the device detects no power, it basically shuts the device off. And then you've got the screen timeout, which is for the LCD. So you can have 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes or never. Down below you've got the power lifting. And now with that on, we can power up to anything up to 3,900 watts. And then you've got your version, which is basically where your firmware and all that stuff is going to be. So as you can see, mine is up to date. It's a good practice to make sure yours is up to date before you actually start using it. And then you've just got your different advanced settings for grid self-adaptation and stuff. And then you've got about device and you can unbind it as well. But that's the app and it's the same across all the other BLUETTI stations as well. And when the device is actually finished charging, the app will send you a notification just to let you know that you can turn it off now from the charger. So let's cover the pros and cons. The first pro, it's a 2,000 watt hour power station, the size of a 1,000 watt hour power station. The fact this can power up to 3,900 watts has you covered for any device you can ever imagine. So if you need this for your van, for your kettle, for your electric blankets, hair dryers, air fryers, TVs, you name it, this will cover it. I also love the 6,000 charges before it goes to 80%. So if you were to charge this once every day, that could last you 17 years. And again, one of the massive pros for me, this is still small enough for car camping, van camping, in a house, off-grid house. This is going to have you covered for everything and it's still small enough that it's not intrusive or in the way. So is there any cons with the Elite 200 V2? I'm just going to put this one in because some people might use it, and that is no wireless charging. I mean, the AC200L, which this is supposed to be the upgrade to, doesn't have wireless charging. So given that this is a flagship model in the Elite V2 range, I'm kind of confused why they never put the 140 watt USB-C 3.1 port in, because it's in the Elite 30 V2 and the Elite 100 V2, but it's not on this one. I mean, other than the weight, the AC180 is 16 kilogram, this is 28, so it's pretty much 12 kilogram over it. You need to remember as well, this is the same size as the AC180, but it has more power than the AC200L, and the AC200L is the same weight, but it's 40% bigger. I'm not gonna lie, I love this power station, and I think I'm just being a wee bit biased because originally I've got the AC180P and this is a direct upgrade from what I've got because it's a 2 kilowatt hour power station with the same form factor of what I had before. It might not be quite double the power that I've got, but it's still a good 600 watts more. And given the fact that AC180P can last me around about 4 or 5 days without charging it, without solar, just on me charging my laptop, my phone, the diesel heater when I use it, or the lights, the fridge, I can roughly get about 4 or 5 days just out the AC180P alone. The fact this has got around about 600 plus more watt hours means that this could probably last me for 7 days or maybe more without needing a single charge. So that's got me excited about it. So if you're currently in the middle of building your camper van or thinking about building a camper van and you don't want to go down the leisure battery route and you just want an all-in-one power source that's easy to use, it's got all the ports, 1,000 watt solar, you can charge it with the BLUETTI Charger 1, you can charge it with the car, you can charge it from the wall, and it's got fast charging. This is more than get you covered. So guys, this is the new flagship model from BLUETTI. It's the Elite 200 V2, and if you want to go and pick it up, I'll leave a link in the description, and I'll also leave you a code as well for 5% off, and it's BLUETTI Robot. So guys, if you did go and enjoy the video, why not drop it a wee like and let me know in the comments. And I'm going to bring out a video with the full Elite series, with the Elite 30 V2, the 100 V2 and the 200 V2. I'm going to do a comparison video of how much power do you actually need in your micro camper, and the video is going to cater for people who maybe are going to be off grid for weekends, people that want to be away for a week, or you know, people that are going to be living in their vans. That direct comparison video will be out very soon, so if you don't want to miss it, be sure to get subscribed and hit that bell notification so you don't miss it. But guys, that's going to cover it, the BLUETTI Elite 200 V2. So until the next one, peace.